Welcome back, everybody. Greetings, salutations on a Wednesday, not just any Wednesday, a Wednesday in which the world of golf is going to take over a lot of sports talk radio. It already infiltrated the nightly news, the CNNs and the CNBCs and the Fox News and all the big news networks, obviously having interviews all day long, all night last night, and so do we as we react. This news broke right towards the end of our show yesterday, and we were not expecting the bomb that got dropped on this merger. So here to talk more about it, our good buddy, one of our golf insiders here in the great state of Utah, Bob Casper with Real Golf Radio. Him and Brian have been hosting that syndicated show across the country for years and years and years. Of course, son of legendary Masters champ Billy Casper. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Hey, Devin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm still kind of shell-shocked, Bob. I'm not going to lie. I have so many questions, as I'm sure you do too, about what exactly this means. I mean, questions stemming from who wins this initially and who's the big loser and what happened to the PGA guys that reportedly passed up hundreds of millions of dollars and stayed loyal to the PGA Tour. Let's start with that question, Bob. We've heard some reports that there is going to be some compensation for some of those guys, but we don't know what that looks like or what amounts those will be yet.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about this last night and talking to a few people about it, and as far as compensation for the guys that stayed loyal to the PGA Tour, that could be one of the things that's written in this framework of what they're trying to do to generate this merger with DP World Tour and also the PGA Tour. So, and I don't know what that looks like. You've got guys playing on with LIV Golf that have made maybe, I don't know, $1 million to sign with them, and other guys that have made $150 million or $200 million to sign with them. So do they provide that for the rest of the PGA Tour? Let's not forget this fund, this PIF fund, has millions and millions and billions of dollars in it. They're planning on infusing $20 billion into soccer to create a league that will rival the Premier League and those in Europe. And they're already talking kind of what they did with the golf tour. They're all already talking with these top players in these Premier Leagues and stuff in Europe to sign them to deals and pull them over to play in this league. So it's kind of like, they're trying to infiltrate in the sport, but I think there will be compensation levied out for the players. But the interesting thing is none of the players, none of the participants, none of the guys on either LIV or PGA Tour, not even Greg Norman, knew that this was coming down in these secret kind of backdoor meetings.
And Bob, Jay Monahan's rationale for Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods only learning of the LIV deal this morning is basically it's only a framework agreement. Not sure that it should or can wash. These two guys consistently went above and beyond to protect the PGA Tour. Do you think Jay Monahan's doing a disservice to these guys?
Well, you could look at it both ways. He's looking out for the benefit of the PGA Tour and professional golf. But, you could definitely, they had a meeting yesterday afternoon with all the players that were available at the Canadian Open, and basically it was very contentious and very heated. People calling him a liar, people calling him a turncoat, people asking for his resignation, players. There was a lot that happened yesterday at that meeting. A lot of players were saying, why do we have a players advisory council when you kept them in the dark and they're not in on the decision when they need to be? And a lot of players were saying this is just exactly what we've worried about, that the PGA Tour isn't transparent, that you guys go ahead and do stuff without the players and without the players making decisions. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things going on with this. I think one of the reasons why this deal was made was because of the vulnerability of both sides with the antitrust lawsuit going back and forth against LIV Golf and the PGA Tour. The last thing those guys want to do is open up open up Pandora's box and let everything out that's happening, stuff regarding the PIF fund and deposing and making the chairman or the governor of that fund testify, then opening up the books with the PGA Tour and people seeing how much money they have and what they're doing with their money and that kind of stuff. And I think they just decided that, instead of having fractured golf, that this would be better for them.
And Bob, I want to ask you, just looking at kind of the guys who have lost the PGA card, making that switch over to the LIV Golf, what do you think that transition's like now that everybody uniting back over? Do you think these guys get welcomed in? Is it a seamlessly transition, just welcoming you back to where you left? Or do you think there's going to be some rough stuff to work through?
I think there's going to be rough stuff to work through, and over the next 6 months before the end of 2023, that stuff is all going to come out. What those penalties have been, what it's going to take to get those guys back, all that type of thing, and that's all going to have to be approved with the Players Advisory Council and the board and all that kind of thing. But those players don't get it's golf as usual until the end of 2023, and that's when they start to integrate these guys back in to the PGA Tour. And I think Chairman Pelly from the DP World Tour said yesterday, hey, these guys all have fines, and if they want to pay their fines and stuff for playing in the events that they played in without getting the release, then they'll be able to, but they're going to have to pay the fines. I think there's going to be similar stuff levied against the players on the PGA Tour, and they're going to have to decide if they want to come back. But the interesting thing was, and what I got an interesting view. I heard one person say that, the PGA Tour is still in control. They're still in control of the players, especially if they let them back. The players are going to be under the PGA Tour umbrella. The PGA Tour is still going to run all of the inside the ropes events that will be under this umbrella, whether it's on LIV or whether it's on the PGA Tour. And inside the ropes, the guys are going to still see things as normal with the PGA Tour. But the question is, they're making this schedule change with designated events and full field events and trying to spread them out a little bit more. And is all that for naught now, or is that all going to stay in place the way it is? That's going to be interesting. There's just so much more going forward. This is an active story, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out.
Who's the big winners in this whole thing at an initial glance, Bob? Guys like Greg Norman, Phil Mickelson. I mean, are they the initial big winners right now? And the big loser, is that just Jay Monahan and all the PGA players that passed up hundreds of millions of dollars? That's what it appears right now as it sits, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's winners on both sides. It gives they've got the chairman of the board that's going to be the governor of the PIF, and they got the CEO that's going to be Jay Monahan. Phil's got to be smiling like a Cheshire cat, saying "I told you," and and I'm the I know everything. And Greg Norman has had this vitriol for the PGA Tour and the PGA Tour likewise. And I think Greg Norman, as part of this deal, is probably going to be cut off at the knees, and he's not going to be around any longer. But I don't know, Devin. I don't know. It remains to be seen what happens, who benefits, how much money is brought into the PGA Tour. If the players that didn't sign deals and stayed loyal to the PGA Tour, are they going to be paid off like the other guys did to go to LIV? This is all stuff that's in flux right now, and we'll be seeing going down the line.
One of the big things that I did like about the LIV Golf Tour coming around was the fact that it opened up more opportunities for more players to earn status and get a start on the PGA Tour, right? You had some of these guys with,
Yeah.
And now I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the schedule will look like. I don't know what the field size is going to look like. So I have so many questions, Bob, that are just going to have to be unanswered until later.
Yeah, it's just hanging out in the air, Devin. It's crazy because, guys. The thing that's cool about the PGA Tour is you have the ability to get on the PGA Tour, and you have the ability to raise your level on the PGA Tour. 2 years ago, Scotty Scheffler had not won a golf tournament. Then he goes and he wins 4 times last year and wins a major, gets the Masters, and he's already won 2 times this year. And so he's got 6 wins with a major in 18 months to a year, to 2 years. And he's gone from being like around number 30 or number 16 or something like that to number 1 in the world, and it's fighting John Rahm back and forth for that position. That's what's cool about the PGA Tour. As you play better and better and better, you can elevate yourself and become, one of the best players in the world. Where the LIV golf events were 48 guys that they invited to come play, that they paid to come play, and it's the same 48 guys for all year long. So it's, the traditions of the game, all that kind of thing are very important in the game of golf. Jack Nicklaus, last week on the broadcast said, I don't worry about those guys anymore. I don't think they're a part of the game anymore because they've chosen to go to LIV. Now he comes out yesterday and he says that this merger with the PGA Tour, and I'm sure that he was fully briefed on everything, just like Tiger and just like Rory. Jack comes back out and says the merger is good for the game. So it's amazing to see how this is coming along. But I think the important thing is, and one of the things that we've had difficulty with, is the fracturing of the game of professional golf. And I think as a good part of what this looks like is that it's going to bring everybody back together.
And Bob, I just wondered what your take was. We talked winners, but what about losers? Devin brought up Greg Norman, and I said at the open of the show I thought he was a winner in this, but now I kind of pivot. The deal basically seals the end for the LIV. The PGA Tour takes a PR hit. Players like Rory missed out on money, but Greg Norman will be persona non grata and out of a job. He's basically a sacrificial lamb in a mob deal. So is this guy going to have any traction finding a new job with this new conglomerate, or is he basically, like they say, persona non grata?
Well, he's persona non grata with the PGA Tour, but he's not going to have to worry about finding a job any longer because I would say that PIF fund is going to pay him off handsomely. So he was, like you said, a hire assassin, and initially to get this thing going, and then he served his purpose. And he's going to be out of it.
I keep going back to, how did Rory go to bed last night? Was he still fuming hot?
Or Tiger?
How did Tiger wake up this morning? Has he changed his mind in less than 24 hours? I mean, I saw the hits the PGA Tour took on the 9/11 folks and all the stuff that Monahan had said. It's hard to forget all that. We should mention that Donald Trump called this last year in July, almost a year ago.
Yeah. And, so in that meeting yesterday afternoon there in Canada, the players were quite vocal and very upset. And Rory made a comment. He kind of sat back and kind of listened to what was going on and everything. And Rory made a comment to one of the players, you guys just have to play better. And one of the players told him to F off. So, it's I don't know. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what he comes out with. Next week will be at the U.S. Open, and this is going to be at the top of everybody's conversation and questions with all the media and everything. And it's going to be the top of conversation like when this all started for quite a while. And we'll learn more and more as it goes on. But, they're saying that they could have the agreement all worked out and figured out and everything in a matter of weeks. That's what the governor of the PIF fund said. But it may take the full 6 months to get it all worked out and who gets what and what's going on, and are guys paid off, and how are the guys going to get back into the good graces of the tour, and having said that, I do feel that most of the guys are treated extremely well at major championships. And so because of that, I think it's going to be a way for them to be treated well on the PGA Tour as well.
Developing story. We'll continue to talk about it, dissect it as we get more information. Still a ton of unanswered questions. I wanted to switch gears. You kind of mentioned the U.S. Open. I'm all fired up for our national championship. The longest day in golf on Monday, in some cases, it spilled into yesterday. And guess who was involved in that extra golf? 3 guys for 2 spots down in California. That was Summerhays, man. How about young Preston Summerhays punching his ticket to the U.S. Open again?
Yeah, it's exciting. Preston, All-American this year at Arizona State, punches his ticket to the U.S. Open. Preston is a great player, and it's been fun to watch him mature in the game of golf. We were at the PGA Championship when his team was in the regionals for the NCAA, and Preston shot 62 in the first round. And I said to Boyd, "Wow, what a great score!" And Boyd is proud. And then his sister Grace, her phenomenal play as well. She's coming right along with Arizona State as well. Such a great thing for them to be local and at home and on such powerful golf teams. But it's awesome that Preston was able to get in there, and he'll be playing a golf course that's a great golf course. Brian and I had a chance to play it about a month ago in the U.S. Open Media Day, and it's a very hilly, up and down golf course right in the middle of Century City in L.A. It's in a smaller kind of environment. There's not a lot of room for people, and the big the big build out with all the tents and suites and all that kind of stuff that goes along with a USGA event. So normally there would be 40 to 50,000 people per day on the golf course. This time there's only going to be about 22,000. So it's going to be a smaller, more condensed U.S. Open, but it's going to be a great venue. It's a tough golf course. Where they're going to play it from is really tough, about 7,500 yards, and the fescue and stuff around the bunkers and around the greens is going to be pretty brutal. So it's going to be amazing to watch, and it's going to be a great test.
I was down there. We played the South Course a couple of years ago. They were actually had the North Course closed, and I think they were putting some new tee boxes and getting it, tournament ready when we were down there. So I have not played that course, but it's crazy. You're driving down the hills in LA, and boom, there's 36 holes right there, smack dab, looking down on the valley. It's a great venue, but you're right. It is not that fan friendly. It's not like a Torrey Pines or a Pebble Beach where you can put up huge grandstands with thousands of people in them. I get that. Any other standouts from the longest day in golf? I saw Michael Block was one shot off getting into the U.S. Open, but he is playing, I believe, at the RBC this weekend.
He is playing at the RBC this weekend. Seriously, you're talking about the longest day of golf. My longest day of golf was all this whole PIF and PGA Tour merger. Yesterday, from the time I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning till the time I went to sleep last night, I was trying to get in my mind all the most information for what's happening in the world of golf. And so I haven't really looked at the U.S. Open stuff yet, which is crazy. But BT and I are getting ready to jump on an interview with Rex Hoggard with the Golf Channel, who comes on with us quite a bunch, and he's on top of all this LIV stuff. And he also played with us at the media day. So we're going to talk U.S. Open, but we're also going to talk the LIV merger and that kind of thing. But I'm excited. I'm really excited for next week, and it's going to be fun. And then the following month in July is the Open Championship, but the first week of July is going to be the Women's U.S. Open, and it will be the first time ever that they played at Pebble Beach. We also got to be there for that media day, which was the next day after the media day for the U.S. Open and got to play that course, and that's going to be a great test and a wonderful thing for the women to be able to play there for the first time.
Love it. Great insight. Bob Casper at Golfing Casper on Twitter. Check out Real Golf Radio, him and Brian Taylor every Saturday. Bob, thanks for jumping on with us. I know you've probably done 5 or 6 media drops already yesterday, and you probably got 5 or 6 more today. So thanks for carving out some time for us and all our golf fans here in Southern Utah.
You got it, bud. Thanks, Devin. I appreciate it.
All right, Bob Casper, everybody. We'll continue to talk about this merger, I'm sure, like Bob said, right through the U.S. Open. Right through the U.S. Open, which practice rounds will start next Monday. I really was planning in the back of my head to try to get to L.A. next weekend. Father's Day weekend, pulled out, hey, Father's Day card. I want to go to the U.S. Open. Let's drive to California.
I hear you.
We'll see if I can pull that off. I don't know if I'm going to make it down or not. I don't have plans to go yet, but I might just pull like a last minute, let's go. Where I will have plans to be this weekend is at Coral Canyon Golf Course for our 19th annual Finley Kia Long Drive Championships. 10 divisions, 14 and under boys and girls, 3 senior divisions, 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus. We've got, of course, the men's amateur division and a open division and a women's open division. So lots of opportunities to get a title and grip it and rip it. We got the Roberts Insurance Shootout, chance to win $250,000. Yes, $250,000. We got a We Win Injury Law Putting Contest, chance for you to win $5,000. It all happens starting Friday at 3 p.m., going till 9 p.m. We'll have our last chance qualifier after the scramble. If you want more details, you want to get signed up, call the golf course or go to thefansportsnetwork.com. All the itineraries up on the website. You can just register for the long drive right on the tee. That's going to do it for hour 1. Lots coming up hour 2. We still haven't even gotten into game 3 tonight. We got the Heat and the Nuggets, game 3 in South Beach. So we'll get into that a little bit. Go back to the Region 10 stuff. If you missed that, who is the MVP? We'll tell you. All that and more coming up next hour. Keep us locked in on The Drive. Good morning.